The D.C. region sees 7 twisters in one day.
Thank God for a warning system.
The oppressive heat continues to bake the West. So why are people looking for the hottest place to be?
When I walked out here, I told Craig I felt like I was in a fire.
And what impact will the heat have on the water supply?
We've seen worse, for sure.
Plus, the real deal on those scary giant spiders said to be spreading like wildfire.
Truly, you're not going to get bitten by these guys.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. The National Weather Service now confirms 7 tornadoes blew through the Washington, D.C. region on Wednesday. Those twisters touched down in West Virginia, Maryland. It was the most tornadoes in a single 24-hour period in the region in nearly 2 decades. The strongest was an EF1 with peak winds of 105 miles per hour. Those winds caused extensive tree damage. 5 people were also hurt. We have 2 reports, starting with Brad Bell in Poolesville, Maryland.
That's it. There's your tornado.
The funnel cloud just south of town and approaching Tudor Farm, where manager Ashley worries about the 11 horses in their stables.
Came outside to close up the barn door because stuff started flying through my house a little bit, and I was like, oh, that's pretty windy. I'm going to go check outside, close it. Saw some trees falling out of the sky. A little bit of I didn't see like the full tornado come down, but saw enough.
She runs for cover as the tornado does its damage, seemingly touching down here in this cornfield before snapping and flattening dozens of trees and fences.
And I was in tears when I came out and saw everything.
As she and the rest of the M Stables crew survey the damage, they are relieved the buildings and their beloved horses are all okay. The same is true at the tornado's next target, Honey Acres Farm along Route 28. Many trees down, people, houses, and horses okay.
Thank God for a warning system, because it didn't look that bad before it got bad. And then by then it would have been too late.
Crews working to safely take down a tree that split and fell onto this house. A block away, another tree ripped from its roots, toppled right into this home. A car nearby just about totaled. County officials say at least 5 families were impacted by the storm damage, and 5 people were hurt. We caught up with the man who lives here. He's figuring out what's next after all of this. He says his wife was home when it all happened.
She said that like what she had heard before, that it sounded like a train coming and stuff, and so she knew she better get downstairs. But just like what you said, we're very thankful that nobody was hurt, or killed even, for that matter.
Many people said they didn't get an emergency alert on their phones. The National Weather Service says they were sent and offered this advice to everyone, no matter where you live.
I strongly encourage people to check their phones and make sure that they do have their wireless emergency alerts on for weather.
Ohio has now seen 62 tornadoes this year. That ties the record for most tornadoes in the state in an entire year, and it's only early June. The 3 most recent twisters touched down west of Columbus Wednesday night. There is also significant damage to many homes and businesses. 8 people were hurt as well. And in Florida, the roof of a 7-Eleven collapsed as severe storms moved through central Florida. People were inside of that car right there you're looking at when the roof fell on it, but they were not injured. The threat of severe weather today moves back to the plains with Nebraska and northern Kansas in the bullseye. 3 out of 5 severe thunderstorms this afternoon could produce large hail and damaging winds. There is a slightly lower risk in the yellow and dark green regions, including Kansas City and also Salt Lake City. The heat is up in the Southwest, with temperatures reaching the triple digits in many states. High temperature records fell on Thursday in both Phoenix and Las Vegas. Phoenix hit 112 degrees, breaking a daily record set back in 2016. Vegas apparently hit 111. Not only was that a record, but it's also the earliest Las Vegas has ever reached these temperatures. And as meteorologist Emily Santom explains, the heat is not letting up.
This heat wave has been going on since earlier on this week. We're looking at several warnings and advisories until at least Friday evening. We're looking at an excessive heat warning for California, parts of Arizona and Utah, heat advisory highlighted in these oranges over New Mexico and Texas. Now, the National Weather Service is also advising not to be out in the sun between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. And this is going to continue into Friday, this heat wave. Temps are going to be into the triple digits once again over in Arizona, parts of Nevada, and down in California. Now, this will continue until at least next week.
And Death Valley is known as the hottest place on earth. It holds the record. Denise Roach reports extensive heat warnings are not holding back visitors.
It's the kind of heat you have to experience to understand.
I'm standing in front of a blast furnace, the door open.
Touring Death Valley National Park during an excessive heat warning. Alessandro Canton is visiting from Italy and says the brutal weather lives up to the hype.
We are curious about the hottest place on Earth, and that's why we're here. We just want to try this kind of temperature, but I just want to go in the car and with the air conditioning right now.
And Park Ranger Matthew Lamar knows that is a good idea.
It can be dangerous here in Death Valley.
Bringing along plenty of water isn't enough. His advice, take those pictures quickly and get back inside.
Death Valley has the hottest temperature ever recorded, 134 degrees Fahrenheit, all the way back in 1913. And twice within the last 5 years, we've hit 130 degrees, which would be top 5 all-time temperatures. They're still considered actually preliminary at this point, but they are going through that verification process right now.
And Lamar tells us summer is actually peak travel season for foreign visitors.
Brazil.
Brazil. A bucket list trip for many people hoping to experience extreme heat.
But even for the most adventurous, Badwater Basin here in Death Valley can be a challenge. This is the lowest point in North America, 282 feet below sea level. And in this kind of heat, you are acutely aware of every breath you take in.
Well, when I walked out here, I told Craig I felt like I was in a fire.
Taking on nature in one of the most inhospitable spots on the planet and going home with bragging rights.
Hottest I've ever seen.
Surviving Death Valley in June.
Another popular desert spot to visit is Lake Mead. Now people are wondering, how will the heat impact snowpack runoff into the lake? Steve Wolford takes a look at what we can expect in the coming months.
When it comes to Lake Mead, what happens here depends heavily on what happens here in the Colorado Rockies. And according to Bronson Mack with the Southern Nevada Water Authority,
really good winter in the Colorado Rockies that resulted in a snowpack that was in excess of 130% of what we would see just in an average year.
Definitely good news, but it doesn't mean we'll see the bathtub ring around Lake Mead go away anytime soon. That's because Mother Earth gets the first gulp of water in that melting snow, and because of drier conditions in the Rockies this spring, she's a little more thirsty than usual.
And in fact, the runoff is projected to be at about 80% of the average runoff. And what that tells us is that the environment is going to take its slice of the Colorado River first.
We've seen worse. We've seen worse, for sure.
Becky Mitchell represents the state of Colorado on the Colorado River Commission and says this year's runoff will certainly help maintain the status quo. But the snowpack needs to go on a long winning streak before we'll see any changes on Lake Powell, which feeds Lake Mead.
The issue right now is that Powell's only about 34% full at this point. So that means 66% empty. And so it's important to remember that it would take multiple years of good snowpack to rebuild that storage.
Let's check to see the weather in cities across the country today. We start in Saratoga Springs, New York, where the Belmont Stakes will run tomorrow. It'll be rainy today, but should be sunny for tomorrow's third leg of the Triple Crown. Washington, D.C. will celebrate Pride Month with the Capitol Pride Parade tomorrow. The weather today and tomorrow is looking fantastic with highs in the mid-80s. Next to Dallas, where the Texas Music Revolution happens at nearby McKinney. It will be hot today and tomorrow with Temperatures top at 95 on Saturday. And finally, Chicago, where 500,000 fans have gathered for the Chicago Blues Festival in Millennium Park. And no one will be singing the blues over the weather, which will be sunny, temps in the mid-70s. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, ocean temperatures are at near record highs. We'll find out what that means for the hurricane season. And we have been talking a lot about high temperatures. We'll show you how the extreme heat can impact your home.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. We have a huge range in temperatures once again today, with highs ranging from 60s through parts of northern New England to 70s and 80s through southern New England, New Jersey, and New York. Here, the back edge of any leftover showers from last night. That's slowly shifting off to the north. Most of the area will get into some sun, but we have the sprawling upper low approaching. You see it approaching from the Great Lakes. That will bring some scattered showers this afternoon. We'll get some more scattered showers on Saturday as well.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. Your Friday starts out gorgeous, lots of sunshine, maybe just a few afternoon clouds, but we are nice and dry. It'll stay that way almost completely through the weekend. A shower may pop up towards the end of your Sunday. Otherwise, Friday afternoon, it will still hit the low to mid 80s, but it will be a massive change with a less amount of humidity going into your Saturday. Much lower humidity coming in as well.
Good Friday morning, meteorologist Michael Arenberg with a look at your Southeast regional forecast for this Friday. We will look for just about all areas starting out with sunshine during the morning hours, of just a few scattered showers for coastal parts of North and South Carolina and South Georgia, and some air mass thunderstorms developing on the sea breeze across Florida. The rest of the Southeast will have plenty of sunshine with clear skies on into your Friday night. High temperatures will be the 80s from a Raleigh, Atlanta, Birmingham line north and west, 90s for areas southeast of that.
The National Weather Desk.
2023 was the hottest year on record. Now, NOAA and other agencies are working on getting more heat monitoring centers set up all across the country. Meteorologist Allison Guttleber is in Portland, Oregon, where one such center is planned.
NIHIS, a group made up of agencies like NOAA and the CDC, announced funding for almost $5 million over 3 years to promote community heat resilience. With that funding, NIHIS will open 4 centers across the country. One in Durham, North Carolina at the Museum of Life and Science, the next here in Portland at OMSI, the Museum of Science in Boston, and Arizona Science Center in Phoenix, Arizona. Each center will serve the region collecting data to help with extreme heat. The Director of Engagement and Research at OMSI said in a statement, through this project, OMSI will work with at least 9 groups, both urban and rural, to collect heat data to inform local, regional, and federal climate action. I also spoke with the Director of Climate Research and Engagement at one of the other heat monitoring centers, Max Crawley, with the Museum of Life and Science in North Carolina. I asked him what they hope to do with this data collection.
The premise of our center is aimed at asking scientific questions that are relevant to communities.
Questions like where to place cooling centers or where to add infrastructure.
It also is able to respond to questions like, what about heat in indoor environments? Or what about heat in occupational environments?
Going forward, they hope to work alongside communities and continue providing data.
Sea surface temperatures are breaking record highs, and with hurricane season already here, that could be a major factor in the number of storms we see. Meteorologist Christina Ernie recently posted about this on TikTok.
Atlantic hurricane season has started for 2024. It runs June 1st through November 30th. Typically, we'd see some of our most active weather in the basin towards the end of the summertime months and into the fall when our air is the most unstable and our sea surface temperatures are the warmest. But we've been seeing quite a trend, in fact, since last year that's a little shocking and a little scary when it comes to those ocean temperatures. So far, nothing being tracked for right now in the Atlantic basin, but we're coming off an abnormally warm 2023 with sea surface temperatures that were way above usual, and we didn't really see them dip a whole lot over the winter months. Almost every single month since last year, we've been setting records for the warmest sea surface temperatures in the Atlantic basin, and that trend just keeps going up. Now, this is what stands out to me the most. The black line that you see above is this year's sea surface temperatures that have been tracked. Actually, some of our warmest sea surface temperatures we've ever recorded. April, in fact, we saw our warmest sea surface temperature. This April has been warmer than last year's record in August. So what does it mean that we're having warm sea surface temperatures and earlier records with those temps? Well, quite simply, when we have very warm ocean temperatures, that provides a lot of fuel for hurricanes. That could mean that we could see earlier active hurricane seasons and potentially more numerous ones.
Those high ocean temperatures are putting Florida's coral reefs in danger, but the Coral Reef Restoration Foundation is a group working to restore those already damaged reefs. They grow coral nurseries and rehome them back onto carefully selected areas of the reef when they are large enough. These reefs provide vital habitat for other animals and work as a buffer for shoreline communities when hurricanes hit. In El Paso, Texas, it's possible to see storms that are miles away. Meteorologist Brad Montgomery explains why.
This may surprise some people, but you can actually see at times thunderstorms out on the Permian Basin and the plains from El Paso. Notice the bottom center part of your screen. Look at that thunderhead blossoming. Where was that thunderhead and when did this happen? There you see it right there. That was the storm that produced some tornado reports of confirmed tornadoes, by the way, south of Midland, Odessa. You see it's about 225 miles east of El Paso, due east, and the sky cam pointing due east. That reddish there in the middle of that box showing the storm was over 60,000 feet tall.
Reports of giant venomous flying spiders are spreading online. They're called Juro spiders, and they have been spotted throughout the southeast. A study published last year says they are spreading like wildfire. But as Nicole LaFiandra found out, you should not believe everything you hear.
I just showed you a picture of this thing. What would you do if you saw this thing like in your backyard?
Probably cry. Like straight up, I would run.
The thought of a flying 8-inch spider is nothing short of a real-life nightmare. While some hate them, others think we should leave them alone.
They deserve to live too. I mean, they're just trying to survive and get by. 8 inches might be a little big.
Good thing Syracuse has around 10 years to prepare for this so-called invasion.
They might eventually get here, but they are not going to show up this summer. And I truly cannot figure out where the sudden decision that they are going to be here this summer comes from.
They're called Juro spiders, and they most likely came over from Asia in a shipping container 11 years ago, which makes them an invasive species. The spider was first discovered in Georgia and slowly spread to neighboring states where it sits now. It would take a mode of human travel, like a car, to get anywhere soon.
If there's a gravid female that's ready to lay eggs and she happens to be on a swing set and that gets taken from South Carolina to New York to grandma's house for some reason, then you might have a satellite population.
And to address the flying part, the spiders don't have wings, but baby spiders use what experts call ballooning to use their silk and the wind to take them somewhere random. They're not 8-inch giant flying spiders.
It defies the laws of physics for that to happen.
If you do see one of these 10 years down the road, leave it and its 3-foot web alone.
Juro spiders are venomous, but they're in a big orb web that has silk in front and back. Unless you are picking up a Juro spider and have your finger near their fangs, truly you're not going to get bitten by these guys.
And it's a big weekend for motorsports. Meteorologist Brandon Lawson has the forecast for all the big races.
Doing some road course racing at Sonoma Raceway in Sonoma, California, and the forecast really looks pretty pleasant this weekend. It's not going to be too hot over in Sonoma. We're looking at upper 70s, low 80s on Saturday. Perfect weather for the Xfinity Series race, which will be right around dinner time on the West Coast. So really good forecast there for Saturday racing. And then Sunday, the Cup Series will be in action. Great forecast then. It might be a little warmer. Temperatures more so towards the low to mid 80s, but still not too hot. And Sonoma, California, it can get really hot. So honestly, not a bad forecast. It will be dry in Sonoma. Also, Road America. That's where IndyCar is going to be up in Wisconsin this weekend. Perfect forecast there on Sunday. We'll be in the 70s, if not the 60s, behind a frontal boundary. Here's the thing. It is going to be a bit showery on Saturday, so if you have any plans for the IndyCar practice and qualifying, probably going to get a little wet then. Also, I haven't forgotten about my friends that are going to be up in Montreal, Canada this weekend for Circuit Gilles Villeneuve for Formula One racing. It looks pretty rainy up there this weekend, so bring your rain jacket. You'll definitely need it up there in Canada. Maybe even get ready for them to race in the rain as well, but should be a lot of fun. Stay safe out there, race friends, and enjoy the races.
And before a short break, let's soar over Bucksport Marina in South Carolina.
Well, a very good Friday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. We have a few storms out across the plains for the day today, but most of the rest of the Midwest staying fairly dry as you're heading out the door for the day today. Some of those storms continue to race their way down towards St. Louis for the weekend, and we got a few storms and showers up across the Great Lakes as well. Sunday's dry for most of us except for the south. We do have some rain across the far southern portions of the Midwest. For Sunday, the rest of us all dealing with temperatures a little below normal.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. Little on the warm side, particularly out toward El Paso, starting out in the 80s. Cooler as you get out to the east in the lower 70s. Still pretty steamy as you're down towards South Texas. We'll be keeping an eye on a low cold front. Not really much going on there. It's going to be a pretty weak system. Most of the showers will be associated with this little bit of a kind of a dry line sitting out to the west. Otherwise, looks like another hot and very humid afternoon. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Well, hi there, everybody, and a good Friday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Out west, the heat is certainly back on. The highest temps of the season so far going to show up today in the desert Southwest, including a mighty 110 out of the Valley of the Sun, aptly named, in Phoenix, and back into the 90s out of Reno, 76 in the Emerald City, big ridge of high pressure here out over California and Nevada, and some beautiful weather in northern Idaho. And that's the scene from here.
The National Weather Desk.
When it comes to extreme heat, almost everything is impacted, and that includes your car. Ethan Trejo has more.
Last year we experienced quite a few where the tires have started to bulge.
where they have just blown out while driving.
Chad Miller owns his own auto repair business. Miller says it's a little early into the season to see a spike in tire replacement calls, but his shop is expecting those calls to come as the tire's pound per square inch or PSI levels increase.
Especially as the temperatures increase, by that 1-2 degrees every, or 1 to 2 PSI every 10 degrees, it will cause catastrophic damage to those tires.
Miller also says that the damage to your tires may not only be coming from the highway.
A lot of times more so in asphalt parking lots where you're doing the turning and now your tires are having a little bit more friction on them, side friction, so that will cause some tire damage as well.
After reaching out to TxDOT, they told us that the heat on the roadways can weaken passenger vehicle tires. Both TxDOT and Miller encourage drivers to routinely check their tire pressure throughout the summer.
My suggestion is if your tire does blow out, pull off right away. Get under control, pull off right away.
And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great Friday. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you right back here on Monday.